Good afternoon, one and all. We thought we'd do a little secondary cheeky double upload today just to get the old man's views on a couple of the incidents in the game itself, the result, and certainly a couple of the individual players who I think have not so much stood out in the game, but maybe stood out for either praise or criticism following the, I guess, the predictable loss against Manchester City. I say predictable loss. I didn't predict it. I predicted a West Ham win, which is probably why I was so miserable after we did eventually lose to Manchester City. Let's start with a positive before we get to the negative. There's been a little bit of news surrounding Lucas Paqueta, and his whatever, his handshake, his cuddle, smooch, whatever you want to call it, with Pep Guardiola. I'd sort of want to put that to one side, actually, and not talk about that. What about his performance, not just during the game, but since he didn't get the move to City, since he's been, I mean, to be fair, they've dug up no evidence yet, otherwise they would have charged him, not charged him. But since all that stuff, sort of investigations happened, a little word on Paqueta, really, mate.
Well, arguably, he's been one of our best players. He hasn't been getting necessarily goals and assists, but that's not for the want of trying. I mean, the pass that he put through on Saturday to Antonio was of the calibre of pass that he put through to Bowen, where Bowen won the Conference League for us. It was incredibly similar. I mean, Antonio did not need to break his stride. He ran onto that, and because he didn't have to break his stride, he got past the defence. But unfortunately, his touch was poor. If that had gone to Bowen, I think we'd have scored, and the game would have been a different result. I'm not blaming Antonio. We know he's at the best of times. His touch isn't always brilliant. And of course, the other thing is that he'd been halfway around the world playing for the Reggae Boys, isn't he? The trouble is, we think we've got no alternative but to continue playing Antonio. And I personally would just love to see Mabama get a chance. But Moyes doesn't tend to do that, which is a shame. Ings is not the answer. I mean, Ings just slows everything down, or alternatively, if he doesn't slow it down, he's 20 yards behind where he needs to be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you know this, but obviously Mabama played against Celtic. Okay, so you know that, and they played remarkably well actually during that. So you don't think that there's any chance of Moyes playing him at the moment at all?
Well, there's no evidence to suggest that. I mean, there were times at the back end of last season where the logical thing would have been to bring him on, but I don't know whether it's because Ings is getting paid £100,000 a week. He feels that he has to bring him on, but he just does not suit our system. He has not got the pace. He'll work well, in a two up front, but as the main man up front, he can't hold up the ball particularly well. He's not that strong. He's not that tall, and he's not particularly quick either. So, the three things that Antonio's got going for him, Ings is deficient in all departments, whereas Mabuana, has got all three. So. I'd like to see him given a chance, because at least it means we could continue to play the same system, and hopefully, we might get some results from it. I mean,
go on. Sorry.
Going back to Paqueta, I mean, since the transfer move fell through, I mean, his performances on the pitch have been astonishing. He's been fully committed, which to me he has been from the first day. I remember seeing him. One of the first games last year, I can't remember whether it was Tottenham or Chelsea, but he likes going into a tackle.
Oh,
he does not shy away from the physical side of the game at all. And he's a bit niggly as well. And I like that. He's for a Brazilian who's got such.
You like a niggly Brazilian. You like an itchy Brazilian.
Don't tell your mother I said that.
No.
But yeah, no, for somebody who's that skillful, quite often they're a bit more like Neymar, where somebody breathes on them and they fall over dying. Paqueta doesn't. Paqueta tries to stand up, and he gives as good as he gets.
Yeah, how dare you? I think you'll find that Neymar actually rolls over 3 or 4 times before he dies. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
absolutely.
I think it was one of the games, might have been Luton. Luton or Brighton. I think quite possibly Paquetá had our most tackles. It was a statistic that was something like that. He had our most tackles of any West Ham player during the game. It was Paquetá. So that just goes to show.
I believe, actually, if you look at the statistics for the whole of the Premier League, he tops the whole of the Premier League for tackles. Not just at West Ham, every other club.
Yeah,
And
absolutely crazy, isn't it?
It's not marginal either. He's 3 or 4 tackles ahead of whoever's second.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to stay on Paquetá for a second, I just want you to, just get your opinion. We'll talk about Europe in more depth. Don't go into depth in it. Do you think he's going to play Paquetá in Europe? And do you think that maybe that's an opportunity where he might rest Antonio for that one? If so, what do you think he might do?
I think if we go by last year, I think he might well rest Antonio when we've got Liverpool coming up, because I think Antonio will make Liverpool struggle, because Van Dijk won't be playing. Van Dijk will be suspended still because he got the extra game, didn't he, for descent. So if I was Moyes, I would definitely not play Antonio this week. I'd give him the extra few days off. In fact, I wouldn't even take him to. Is it Slovenia we're going to?
Serbia. It might be Serbia.
Serbia. Yeah, I knew it was one or the other. Couldn't remember which. But I wouldn't even take him out there. If it was me, I'd put in Maguana. I think he'll put in Ings, or he may move Bowen up front, or maybe he'll do something with Kudus.
Yeah, I think he'll probably play. But anyway, we'll do that.
This year we've got options. Last year we didn't have, so that's the good thing.
That's true. Maybe they'll register Jesse Lingard in time for that one. I don't think they will, and I don't think he'd feature anyway. Of course, you're probably more likely, if we do, to see him against Lincoln. Just before we go, actually 2 things. Nigel Gurd's come in for a lot of criticism. What was your take on that?
Everybody can make mistakes. He missed it by a gnat's breath. It was very unfortunate. I
thought it was a lot. I thought he missed it by a lot, actually.
Yeah?
I do. I used to, I mentioned it in the, I used to love Carlton Cole. Carlton Cole was a really, really good player for us. Really good. But I always used to marvel at how somebody so big had not mastered the art of jumping. He was, when he should have been sort of hanging in the air, he was sort of already on the way down. When he should just be sort of rising to head something, he was already on his way down. So he wouldn't. It used to frustrate me, and because he wouldn't generate enough power with his header because he was going the wrong way, and I that's what I thought a Gerd did. I just thought he was going in the wrong. He jumped far too early, basically, is what I thought.
The classic one was this weekend, the Wolves player against Liverpool, where he went to head the ball and he missed it by so much it ended up coming off his knee.
Oh, I didn't see that. Not like Joe Marler in the rugby, then.
No. Well, yeah, according to Marler, he meant that. Yeah. Pull the other one.
And he did say that, didn't he? He was sort of like that, wasn't he? And, he said we've been working on that. He said you're not going to believe me when anyone starts with that, when anyone leads with that in a sentence. You think, okay. He said been working on that in training. A bit of rugby union talk there for you, just in case. A final thing, James Ward Prowse.
Brilliant again. Got to give Soufal some credit.
Yes.
1, it was a fabulous cross, but 2, even that early in the game, he was being given a rough time by their winger, Dukos.
Whatever you want. I say Doku, you say Duco, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, he was being given a bit of a roasting by him, but there was an opportunity there. He broke forward. Again, the ball from Bowen was sensational. Soufal again was able to run onto that ball without taking a stride. Then he looked up, and that ball was sensational.
Really good.
It was interesting because Ward Prowse could have taken it in his stride, but he decided to head it, and I'm guessing possibly he took it in his. He went to head it because it was going to his left foot rather than his right, but who knows? Anyway, it was a lovely finish. He was all over the pitch again, and as I've said before, I think he's a far better technical player than most people give him credit for, and I think he can see a pass. He clearly likes it at West Ham. His celebration was interesting as well, because he put the crossed hammers up before he did his legendary golf swing. So
you've got to be careful with that. You know, I mean, these footballers, they pay a lot of money to golf pros to teach them how to swing. And as the old saying goes, practice makes permanent. Of course, he's got to be really careful with his golf swing if he's going to start doing that first, because he may find himself on a golf. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
No, all right.
But
maybe
no, I thought
he's better at golf than he is at football. I bet he's good. He's good at golf.
But the other player to comment about at the weekend was, it was very noticeable that we became an awful lot more exposed the second Alvarez went off.
Yeah, well, I don't want to hear any more. But I'm talking. I'm saving him for later in the week.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
He deserves his own video, which is sort of the point, really. But no, listen, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. You're going to join us to have a chat about Europe, aren't you? Not like. Yep. Not Brexit and the EU and all that stuff we're talking about.
We can if you like.
We probably won't do that actually on this channel or any other channel. Well, I would do that on this or the Pinball channel or Patreon. You're in safe hands there. If you would like to get your hands on a little bit more content or discounted merch, at the moment we are running a free trial on our Patreon. Our Patreon is our third Hammers Chat channel. I'm going to stop this video now. The old man and myself and Gio are just about to record our player ratings for that dastardly game against Man City. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail in who was hot and who was not. And they were both. We thought we won't be rating them. I was going to say we won't be ranking the Man City players. That could have came out a little bit wrong, really, couldn't it? But anyway, if you want to get involved in Patreon, it's a great way to support the channel. The link is in the description below. And at the moment, you get a free trial and a discount to our online store. Thanks for joining me, mate. And we'll catch up with you, well, in a couple of days, I guess.
Yep. Look forward to it.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.